Are you ready, kids? Hopefully somebody said, aye, Captain. Anyway, this is adding and subtracting rationals, which are the same rules that you used for adding and subtracting any other numbers. It's just that now you have to combine all the things you know about decimals and fractions in with your rules about positive and negative numbers. So let's just look at two decimal problems first. So if I'm taking 0.65 and subtracting negative 7.13. So our rule says that we can change the subtraction to addition and then change the sign of the second number. So now it turns into 0.65 plus a positive 7.13. So then we know that best practice is to line them up vertically so that we can add them together and you get 7.78. So remember, when you're subtracting a negative, you're getting more positive. So then on this one, we can change this subtraction sign to a positive, but then we need to change the sign of that second number. So now we're adding a positive and a negative, which means that we really need to subtract those numbers. And then think about what your difference needs to be once you subtract them. Is it going to need to be positive or negative? So let's go ahead and subtract them, and hopefully I don't make any mistakes. And so then I get 0.98, and that seems reasonable if I subtracted those two numbers. But my greatest absolute value was the negative 1.13, and it was negative. So that means that my answer needs to be negative. So I really have negative 0.98 for my answer. Now let's look at two fraction problems. So the first one we're going to do is negative 1.5 plus 2/3. So they're opposites, we're adding, so we know that they're not really opposite numbers, I mean they have opposite signs. And we're adding them, so that means we need to subtract them. So if I'm going to take 1.5 and subtract 2/3, I need a common denominator. And so that's the first thing that you have to be able to do with fractions, is with adding and subtracting, you have to get the common denominator. So 1/2 would be 3/6, and 2/3 would be 4/6. Well, now we run into a problem, because I need to be able to subtract 4/6. I can't subtract it from 3/6. So I need to rewrite that as 9/6 once I add on that 1 as 6/6. So then I'll have 9/6 minus 4/6 gives me 5/6. But my largest absolute value was negative. So that means my answer is negative 5/6. On this problem, I have a negative. I am adding another negative because subtracting positive 5/8 meant to add negative 5/8. So that means I really need to add them, and then my answer will be negative because I'm adding two negative numbers. So those are just going over the rules that we had for positive and negative numbers when you add and subtract. So then we're trying to get the common denominator, and hopefully you guys are watching to make sure I don't make any mistakes. And then now we can add these together, and 16 plus 35 is going to be 51. I miss having you guys in class telling me what the answers are. And then this is 2. So 2 and 51 over 56, and I don't think that can be simplified. And then, wait a minute, I said the answer had to be negative. So the sum is negative because I was adding two negatives together. So if you have any questions about those, you can let me know, and then I'm going to give you some practice problems of your very own to do. I know you're excited.